here's what happens when you give someone cause, right? You look for all the ways to bring that cause to life, and you need the diversity and inclusion to see opportunity or see breaks that are gaps, because we all have different perspectives and different upbringings. Not better or worse, different.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. It's your girl Bex.
And I'm Carly.
And we deliver content to unlock your mindset and actions to be limitless. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And like we always say, ring the bell notification so you can be notified when we're dropping gems just like this.
Boom! Yeah. We are back. Another week, another video. This week doing something, again, a little bit different. So we're going to be touching on two things. So we're going to go for a little bit about why it is we are focusing on women and BIPOC. And we're just going to go through a few stats. And we're also going to be showcasing a young Black entrepreneur from the United States with a very, very cool invention. So really looking forward to showcasing him this week.
So just a disclaimer, we don't hate any men. We know that you got the title, but we needed to address this topic simply because we've had a couple of call outs from a couple of men that actually support our channel.
Absolutely. And also we are not sponsored by the product that we're going to show you. It's just something that Beck sent over, and I don't know where you saw it, but it's super cool. And we thought, yeah, we want to talk about men as well, and what a great person to do for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to address that our focus is predominantly behind women and BIPOC, like you just said, and the intention is to include men as allies for women. And by allies, we mean that they are very actively involved in pushing the growth, development, and equity forward for women. So yeah, are we going to jump into some stats? And
yeah, let's go straight into it.
Cool. So the first thing is that we speak about women, number one, because we actually are women and we identify as women. So it's easier to give our experience. Like we can see firsthand what we're going through, as well as what other people and other women are going through. And we really wanted to speak about the lack of visibility and representation of women as well.
100%. And as you know, our focus is very much business, whether entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, as well as sports. I think I definitely found it, not that it was necessarily harder, but because there's so many different sports and fields, having very specific facts to share was not so much, but there's still just things that are just so blatantly obvious, which we have touched upon in some videos. But I think for this, we've got studies, companies like Catalyst, companies like McKinsey and Company, who their job, they go out there and do research on companies to pull the facts and figures, and it's just plain to see, yet people still either don't realize it or choose to ignore it. I think most cases people actually don't realize it. The data's just not been there. But yeah, we're going to share some of them today.
So one of the things, like I just mentioned, is that the lack of visibility, right? It's not that women aren't doing well, and it's not that BIPOC aren't doing well, but there's a lack of visibility. So one of the things that we always see and we have trouble with is that when we're looking for inspirational quotes, when we're looking for snips of women that have said something profound or whatever it is, all that comes up is tons and tons of men. Every motivational Instagram page, inspirational Instagram page, anything to do with wealth, anything to do with money, property, so on and so forth, there is tons and tons of men. We're not saying that there aren't women, but we want to help with bringing that to the forefront, so that when you say inspirational quote, it's not just a list of men first and then you find the odd woman. So that's something that we're super passionate about, is really bringing that visibility.
And you know, I can't remember, we were having a conversation with someone about this maybe about 6 months ago, and it's not even a case of, well, I think men are just more likely and bolder in sharing their stories, and I don't think it's a case of women not wanting to. I don't know if they just don't feel compelled to, or, you know, they're just not really kind of pushing themselves more to the forefront like men do. I think it's a very natural thing for men to do that. And we know in companies, they're more likely to ask for that promotion. They're more likely to ask for that pay rise. I don't know if it's just that thing with women, but once you go and find them, they are more than happy to share their stories. And you're definitely getting more that are doing it just like proactively. But our goal is to go and hunt for them and then bring them to the forefront. So you can type in successful property management companies or whatever, and they will all come up. It won't just be loads of men. It's because their stories are out there and you can see everybody from every background. And that's what we want to achieve.
It goes back to the point of at the moment we're still like first woman to do this, first black person to do that, and so on and so forth. So when you put in successful quotes, let's just say, or successful entrepreneur, we don't want to have to put successful women entrepreneurs. That's what you have to specify.
Yes.
And that's what we don't want to do. We want to remove that, right? Exactly. And just man, so
100%. Okay, so I went on to Catalyst, and as you could probably see here, there are tons and tons of data on why diversity is so important. And I'm just going to take a couple from the studies that I saw. So Credit Suisse, they studied 30,000 senior executives at over 3,000 companies across the world. And among their findings, companies in which women held 20% or more management roles generated 2.0% higher cash flow returns on investment than companies with 15% or less women in management roles. McKinsey and Company's global study of more than 1,000 companies in 15 countries found that organizations in the top quartile of gender diversity were more likely to outperform on profitability. 25% more likely for gender diverse executive teams and 28% more likely for gender diverse boards. Like, I can keep, like, they're just two. There's pages and pages of this that goes on and on and on. And then the other one I wanted to share was organizations in the top quartile for ethnic cultural diversity among executives were 36% more likely to achieve above average profitability. At the other end of the spectrum, companies in the bottom quartile for both gender and ethnic cultural diversity were 27% less likely to experience profitability above the industry average. Like, that alone says it all.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, massive. And it just is so important. And we've still got the whole, like, we've got like diversity when you're just looking at men and women, then you've got the diversity when you're looking at ethnicity as well. So I've got some stats around pay, and women are paid 90p to the pound that men are paid. But and I didn't know if you know, but so any employer that has over 250 staff are actually required to submit payroll figures yearly as part of the gender pay gap reporting regulations. And in finance, communication and construction, the median gap widened with women receiving 88p, 83p and 76p per pound versus their male counterparts. So with the BIPOC as well, so there's a company or a non-profit organization called People Like Us that they showed that those who are BIPOC are being paid only 84% of what their colleagues in similar roles are being paid. Wow. So it's really, it's pretty shit. And then when you look, and we showed something before on our Instagram, and it's called From Lean In and McKinsey, and this is basically everything from entry level up to C-suite. So entry level, you have like a more of an even split of 47% women, 53% men. Manager, when you get into management, it's 40% women, 59% men. Senior managers or directors is 36% women, 67% men. When you go up to C-suite, it's 24% women and 75% men. And then if you look at women, if you look at the women of color, going all the way up to C-suite, it's only 4% women of color. And even if you versus that from men of color are 13%. So in every every dynamic that you want to do, women of color are always
Bottom.
underrepresented.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is why
100%.
it's just so important, like from a female aspect and then from a women of color aspect as well.
Exactly. And I'm glad you touched on the women of color, because there was a different study and they said 49% of Black women, this is just specifically for Black women, 49% of Black women feel that their race or ethnicity will make it harder for them to get a raise, promotion, or chance to get ahead, compared to just 3% of white women and 11% of women overall. So as you say, women as a whole, but then women of color, again, is a completely different story. And this is why we are focusing on it. And as being ourselves, who are women and women of color, this is why we're so passionate about it. And it's been something close to their hearts. It's something that's been close to my heart. Never thought about trying to turn it into something that you can make as a business or educational platform or whatever. From when I first walked into full-time employment at 16 years old, and I didn't see a single person that looked like me, not one, male or female. There was nobody.
Yeah. And this is really just to echo why we want to unearth these stories, because one thing that we said previously is that we want to look at all industries, and we know that not every single company is going to have representation, but there is representation out there. So we don't want it to feel like it's not a that you can't have hope and that you can't dream and that is impossible, because it's not. People have actually done it, and we want people to be trailblazers, but we know when there's no blueprint or nobody to look up to, it is hard, but there's definitely people out there that look like you.
Exactly. And we're more than happy to be the ones to do the digging, find them and bring them to the forefront. And as Beck says, the successes are there. We just need to bring them to the front page as well.
Absolutely. So on the back of that, we have got a special young person that we want to speak about, 20-year-old David Price from the US, who launched, I'm not sure if you've got the year, but launched a product called the Safety Pouch, which just recently has gone into over 400 Walmart stores across the US, which is just incredible.
That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And it's such and this is the thing, right, I love about his company. One, he's super young when he invented it. He was a teenager when he came up with it. But two, it's such a simple solution to such a big problem. And sometimes we overcomplicate things. It has to flash and this and all this stuff. And it's just a very simple solution. The Safety Pouch, creating safer and efficient traffic stops. And that's what it's about. Easy to use, easy to see, easy to store. And I love the story behind it, because he was in a business seminar and they had an assignment, which was to invent something to bring about societal change. Wow. And he actually said he had this idea years ago. So when he got his first car from his parents, they actually had to sit him down to say, look, if you ever get stopped by the police, just do everything slowly, tell them what you're doing, So obviously they've seen things in the news or experienced things themselves to have to give him this advice. So he's thought, well, that's not right. And then this is when he had the sort of idea, and he said he did some research. There was nothing out there, but he kind of just forgot about it. And it was only when his professor kind of said and gave him an assignment that it came back to his mind. And his professor, she actually loved it so much. She actually helped him to bring it to market and introduce him to do that. Yeah.
So just if you're not sure, it probably would have flashed on the screen by now, but the Safety Pouch is designed to prevent active reaching in front of law enforcement during traffic stops. And basically it's just something that you kind of like a pouch that you just put on your window. So it hangs out and then it displays all of your documents. So your license, your registration, and so on and so forth. So you don't have to be reaching. Obviously this is more of an issue, especially, well, it's definitely a big issue in the US. Because Black drivers are nearly 4 times more likely to be pulled over versus their white counterparts, which is, and we all have seen the stories over the last few years.
Exactly. So this was actually invented before George Floyd. And it just showed this has been going on for a long time. And he mentioned there was a young man who was shot dead because he was reaching into his glove compartment for his documentation. But it was on MSNBC, and they were actually talking about there was a racial bias. There is a racial bias basically in traffic stops. I'm just going to read some of the stats that they put out. So they said black drivers, as you mentioned, are far more likely to be stopped than white drivers. Once stopped, black drivers are twice as likely to be searched as white drivers. Black Americans are 3 times more likely to be killed by the police. But then there was another study that was done that said of the searches, black people are actually less likely to yield illegal drugs or contraband than white drivers were.
Wow.
So it is very scary. You know, we are very lucky, and I guess just citizens don't have guns. You're not allowed. They're obviously illegal in the UK, but there's still definitely a racial bias in a lot of searches, like stop and search, for example, in the UK. So this is very much a huge issue in the United States. But it's incredible that, you know, he has come up with something, and it comes with a little safety sticker that you put on the window so they know as they approach the car. And he said he's had testimonials from, you know, police officers who've said, hey, I've encountered someone using it. I definitely felt safer. He's had people like Tina Knowles-Lawson, the mayor of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell, like these people saying this is amazing. So good on him. Such a young age, teenager at that. He's 20, 21 now. So yeah.
I also saw that he actually received a $10,000 grant from Beyonce's Be Good Impact Fund, which also helps like new business opportunities, COVID relief, and other charitable causes. So I thought, like you said, he had massive traction with all these big companies, big names as well, and rightly so. And even now to today, so that it launched a few years ago, and today, or just this week or the last couple of weeks, he's just launched in 400 Walmarts across America.
I saw his interview on the Kelly Clarkson show as well a few years ago, and she gave him £2,500 as well to help.
Oh, is it?
Business. Yeah.
Sick. Yeah,
very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, we saw this story, so we definitely just wanted to bring it to you to let you know that we know that we've got some amazing black kings out there. Men of color, to be fair, in general. So yeah, and we really want to speak to anybody that is allies for women and people of color, for sure.
Absolutely.
So that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been your girl Bex.
And I've been Carly. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode, and we will see you next week.
Peace.